Well, welcome. The next thing we're going to do is have a live mentoring session. So get a lot of questions about what actually happens in a mentoring session, and this will be fun. Uh, Fernando, Via, and myself, we have mentoring sessions frequently, and what we're going to do is pretend like there's no one else around, and we're actually having a mentoring session. And as Joe and I talked about before, it's driven by the mentee. And so we'll let Fernando kick it off and then drive the discussion as he always does for our mentoring sessions. So Fernando,
All right. Hey, John. So how you been? You good?
pretty good. Traveling a lot as always, but
Traveling a lot?
I always enjoy that.
So funny thing, I finally got to Eddie, and he sent me the pictures that I went to IEEE Panama Rising Stars. I have to send you them. It's photos of with the Bruno socks that we took together, all four of us. They're pretty nice and neat. What's it called? I wanted to get back at you with the advice that you gave me because you told me I was having trouble on figuring out how to be an advisor, since for my chapter. And after you telling me to be proactive and trying to actually just maybe start an initiative, maybe get the engine running, something like that. What's it called? It really helped out. After our last meeting, our officer meeting, I gave the officers like examples. I told them like this the stuff that you can get ahead of to the point that they started planning for Founders Day, and it's not like even the start of October. So I'm pretty happy with the progress. So thank you for that.
Okay, okay.
So what's it called? One of the things I wanted to dive into now is that I sent you the topic saying the vertical versus horizontal career path. Because after attending the TS DOS conference, I'm in distribution, but they mostly covered substation and transmission. So my question would be like, what would be a good path to do, especially if you want to climb management? Would you want to go learn everything around the job from even substations and transmission if you were in my shoes, or would you just want to get a good like knowledge of distribution and climb up in management?
Yeah, I think um, you want to get a good foundation first. Okay, when you're young, um, what I wanted to do is get as much diverse experience as I could
Yeah,
and really strengthen my fundamental knowledge of like you and I in the power engineering specialty of electrical
yeah,
engineering. So and the other thing is much more so today than 40, 50 years ago was you don't want to be a specialist anymore. The
hmm,
problems we solve in the real world are very interdisciplinary.
yeah,
Okay, so you really want to have as much depth of knowledge in as many different areas as possible. So to me, when you're young, um, horizontal, I think is much more important. Management will come, but you don't want it to come too quickly because you want to be prepared for it. And also you want to manage people in areas where you've worked in those areas. You had some experience in those areas. You can be a better manager. And if you rise into management too quickly, you truly won't be prepared for it. And I think it'll be you're almost setting yourself up for failure.
yeah,
It's gonna be difficult. So try to get as much horizontal experience as you can. The other thing is, I was told this early on because I prided myself on being spectacular worker, just being the best of the best, part of my competitive nature. And one person said, "Hey, John, do a good job, but don't do too good of a job because you'll be doing it the rest of your life." So,
yeah,
there's a fine line there. You want to be a spectacular worker, but always be reminding key people, "Hey, I love what I do, but I don't want to do it for the rest of my life. You know, I'm
yeah,
help me find something else." Uh, in time, right, where I could make the change. So you got to let people know that, because they'll keep you in that same position forever unless you say something. So try to get, for me it was substation, distribution, and transmission and generation. To get experience in all of those, he had a good fundamental background.
Okay. Yeah. So since I know your specialty is substations and SCADA systems, but how much did you learn from the other fields like distribution, transmission, and generation?
I just happened to get into. I was doing work for a company, and I was doing SCADA type work, and I really got
Yeah.
into substations a lot. And that's when, in 1987, I joined the IEEE Power and Energy Society Substations Committee. Okay,
Mhm.
as I said, the best way to learn the depth of the technology is to lead the standards work in that field.
Mhm.
And so, IEEE writes a lot of standards, has 39 societies, but the Power and Energy Society, one of 39 societies, writes 50% of all the IEEE standards. Okay, so I got, and the PS has 17 technical committees. So I got into one of those substations. Within a year, I became working group chair and was leading the work. And then within about 4 or 5 years, subcommittee chair, leading many working groups, and then eventually became chair of the whole substations committee in 2001 and 2. So there's no better way to learn the depth of technology than to lead standards work on that. So just by the virtue of joining the substation committee and want to learn more, I got deeply involved in substations, to the point of, we have the book Electric Power Substations Engineering, a widely used reference book, 22 chapters on substations, and really got deeply involved in it. And it helped me become IEEE fellow in 2003, because the IEEE fellow, I was elected to be fellow because of my work, pioneering work, and technical leadership in substations. So it really benefited me. But it just so happened that I joined that technical committee in the IEEE Power and Energy Society. And then, as you and I have always talked about, don't join something and just go and sit in the back of the room, right? We've talked about that. When you join something, be a leader, volunteer to be a leader. You want to
Yeah.
be helping to make decisions of the group, not to be somebody in the back of the room that hardly asks any questions and you just show up. You get more out of something when you put more into it.
That is true. That is true. I need to work on that. I think my professors or my TAs can vouch for me, saying I'm the quiet kid in the back that just does his work and nothing like that. So what's it called? All right. So what's it called? The next topic I want to hit with you is that at the TS DOS conference, I forgot that my school offered this program, the engineering management. I know you always vouch for always getting an MBA after
Mhm.
your bachelor's, because you need to build a case, financial case study, if you want to pitch your idea in your company. So, do you know the difference between those two? What are some key highlights, and what would you recommend? Which path, since both are similar, but one is a little bit more technical?
Yeah, the internship I had when I was an undergraduate at Purdue, by being with full-time workers, in the summers,
Mhm.
um, I was amazed at how engineers had trouble building a business case for an engineering project. And then they were frustrated that senior management wouldn't approve their projects. And it was obvious to me the reason was they didn't know how to express their technical project in a business way, you know?
Mhm.
And it really impressed all those internship periods. It really impressed upon me that I really needed to do well in that myself. That it wasn't going to come naturally. I had to, get into an educational program. So I said after my bachelor's and master's in electrical engineering, I definitely was going to get an MBA. But at University of California, Berkeley, where I went, I had two, at the time I had two options. One was the core courses in management, and the other was core courses in finance. And to me, I chose finance. Finance gives you um, very good, it gives you an understanding of the financial world to do a good job of expressing a technical project in business terms. And they also learn how to manage your own personal finances. So what I would do, Fernando, is look at this engineering management program, see what kind of courses you would take, see if it's a good mix of business, finance and management. And if it is, if there's some good finance courses in there, then I would, I could, why don't we could look at those courses together?
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see those courses myself, and see what they offer. And if there's a good balance there, I would say that's probably a pretty good program. If it's all management, I would, I would, I would want to look at the courses. But if there's not enough finance in there, I'm not sure I would go for it. I might look for a separate program that would give me
Mhm.
more focus on finance.
Okay. What's it called? Recently, the guy that pitched me engineering management at the conference, he reached out to me and was mentioning about the dual program where I can take my master's in electrical engineering and also try to get an MBA. Knowing my workload, what's it called? Would you recommend me on doing the dual program, or do you think I should hold off on that? Since
No, I think and I'm this way. I'm never too busy to do the things I want to do. you know, you, I mean, you always find the time to do the things you want to do.
yeah,
Um, you know, Somebody says, "Hey, John, can you help me?" If my wife was standing next to me, she said, "John, you don't have time. You're too busy now." I said, "No, no, no. I want to help you. I'll find the time to help you." So, um, you know, um, if it's, I would say really, if even though you're working, and stuff, if you can, we've talked a lot about how to manage your time effectively. You know, I always say, when I build a team and IEEE of volunteers, I look for the busiest people I can find to be on my
yeah,
team, not the least busy, but the busiest. They're the best to be on my team. They're the best contributors. They get things done. The quality of work is good, and they have extensive networks of people. So I would say if it's something that you want to do, you'll find the time to do it. I was working 50 hours a week doing engineering during the day, taking two courses at Berkeley Monday and Thursday night at night, playing on a fast pitch softball team, coaching a flag football team, and building a stereo in free time, all going on at the same time. So you find the time to do the things that you want to do.
I don't know if I'll ever catch up to your level, John, but I will do my darn best, especially with time management skills. I actually told Grady the exact same quote. I quoted you to Grady. Instead of being a dictator, in your chapter, you should try to depend on your fellow officers and let their creativity run, because they're also busy people, but they also want to get very involved because they saw the fruition or like the benefits that we've gotten from volunteering. And ever since he's just happy, raise sunshines with smiles. So that's pretty good advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it called? Since I'm traveling a lot to conferences and also meeting execs and casually somewhat talking more to my manager, what are some tips to build credibility or influence with major leaders?
Um, that's a really good question, because what when I started engineering school, I was very introverted, um, was very uncomfortable around people, and was the last one to talk about myself.
Yeah.
I wanted give me all the homework I need to do and leave me alone and let me do my homework. That was my comfort zone. As I went through undergrad and graduate school, and when I got my master's, started working, I said, well, I was fortunate to be in a fraternity at school, but it was a friend of mine on my dorm floor freshman year that took me to the fraternity house. and included me in the. I would have never done it myself. It scared the hell out of me. But thank God my friend did that, and I joined, and it was the best thing for me because it helped open me up, helped make me more comfortable around people. Then I took the Dale Carnegie public speaking course when I first started working, which is the best public speaking course. And it was what Joe and I talked about discomfort, and I was so uncomfortable in front of people speaking. I was sweating like mad, but I knew I had to do it because I knew when I finished, I would be better off. And it was the best thing I did to help me feel more comfortable with public speaking. So what you have to do when you whatever you do, whether it's school or work, but particularly at work and particularly in a big company, you not only want to work hard and do good work, but just what you said, Fernando, you have to spend a good part of time promoting yourself to the key people throughout the company. In teams of people that I managed, I remember a fellow who a PhD, very capable guy, but very quiet, And when I in an annual human resources meeting with the HR manager of a $4 billion business at GE and my CEO, I wanted to promote this guy and give him a merit increase. And the
Yeah.
HR manager and the CEO said, "John, we don't know him. We've never met him, you know?" And thinking, that's right. Because and what's important in business, what's important anytime, is you've got to get out and you've got to meet those key people. You have no chance to influence people at all if they don't know you,
Mm.
you know. And
Yeah.
you gotta. I told this fellow, I said, I'm going to schedule lunch for you with the HR manager. I'm going to have meetings with the CEO, so these people get to know you, because you deserve to be promoted, but the obstacle is they don't know you. Okay, so the other thing with a big company is they could have a headcount reduction. You could be laid off, even though you're a spectacular worker within your group, because the key people up above that are making the decisions for the headcount reduction don't know you, and they don't know the work that you do. So
Okay.
first step in influence, you have to get out, not be afraid to meet the key people. And then every time you have a success, whatever it is, you tactfully let key people know of a success that you've just had. Okay. And the important word here is tactfully. Okay.
Yeah.
Tactfully. So every time, it's just subconscious to me, every time there's something positive that's happened, I'm always thinking about who else needs to know this and how do I tactfully present it to them. Okay. And in time, you'll have a lot of influence because these people will know the value that you bring to your company, to IEEE, to whatever you're doing. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. What's it called? I think I run through that trouble a lot. Well, more like I really don't know what value I bring, but then I hear my two friends, Arthur and Eileen, like talk about me or vouch for me. Speaking about people because like we're great. Me and my friend we're great IEEE volunteers. So then I stop myself and think like I actually did all this stuff. Oh my god, like it just passes through me. So what's
Yeah.
it called? I need to work on that. Do you have any tips on recognizing self value? Because I think I undermine myself a lot and just always think like put others ahead.
Fernando, there's two important things I learned in that public speaking course. Okay. One is that I would get up to give a talk and then
Mhm.
I'd sit down and I'd think, oh, I didn't do real well. Other people would get up, give their talks, and I said, oh, that was so much better than mine. Okay. Then we'd take a break, and I'll never forget this. People would come up to me at the break, John, your talk was the best one tonight. You know, I'd say, are you serious? Yeah, you were the best one. I said, no, I thought you were the best one. No, what happens and this is true, Fernando, we do not, we are so difficult, we are so critical of ourselves. And we truly are doing, all of us, we're doing much better to the outside world than what we give ourselves credit for. Okay.
Yeah.
And this kept happening to me over and over again. John, you gave such a good talk. And it just showed me that, wow, why am I so hard on myself? I'm actually doing pretty well to everybody else, you know? And
Yeah.
so always remember that. Always remember that. Second thing is the value you bring. You know how you learn that? People will tell you, people you lead a group, you interact with other people, and they'll say, "Hey, Fernando, thanks for like the panel session that you moderated that we did in March at your university.
Yeah.
You did a great job organizing that. You did a great job with the questions for all of us. You did a great job actually implementing, moderating it. And if you sat back and thought about, I mean, you really did a nice job because you were moderating a panel of very seasoned professionals. Our department head of electrical engineering, over 50 years experience. Mark from Encore, over 50 years experience, right? And a professor from a university, an industry startup entrepreneur. I mean, and you were in charge of all of us, right? Moderating a panel. You did a great job. Okay. So always look at things that way. And I find that the value that I bring, it's obvious because of other people complimenting you or saying nice things about you, and just keep all of those things in mind. And the best way to know the value you bring is by other people recognizing it
Mhm.
and and thanking you for it.
Okay. It's funny. I do these things like it's normal, but because I don't really know what is the standard success or failure rate when it comes to creating events or like linking people to make these panel sessions. So then here comes Eileen running like, Fernando, do you know what you just did? I'm like, no, what did I do? You're like, you just got these 5 seasoned professionals together and it's rarely happens. I'm like, that's cool.
That's what I that's what I sit back sometimes and take a look at what you've done or what you're about to do, and it's pretty remarkable,
Yeah.
and give yourself credit for that.
I just hope that it doesn't make me get a big hit. I don't like a big hit. I hope I don't get a big hit out of all the successes or whatnot. Yeah.
Well, the one thing Joe and I didn't talk about, but what's very important for the success of your career is to remain humble,
Mm-hmm.
remain modest. Okay. Um, always put an emphasis on other people, learning about others. Don't talk about yourself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Show interest in other people, provide value to other people as much as you can. Always help other people, expecting nothing in return. All right. And
All right.
remain no matter how many successes or awards recognition you have, don't let it get to your head. Okay. Just be very humble and modest the whole time. And that's what's important to be successful.
All right. Hey Joe, how you been?
Hey there, Fernando. How's it going?
Pretty good,
Well, it's
enjoying
great to
the industry
hear.
ride.
Really just want to thank you guys for taking the opportunity here to come and talk a little bit about your mentoring connection. I think me personally, it's a very enjoyable experience. It's great seeing both of you guys in action and seeing the aspects that you bring to the table in terms of really showcasing the benefits of mentoring. Fernando, thanks for opening up and showing some of your vulnerabilities, especially about your career progression and getting noticed in the workplace. And John, thanks for your message about being humble. I agree completely on both sides. Like these are the elements of not just being a good mentee and mentor, but being an effective engineer, knowing when to open yourself up and let personal information guide your judgment, and also remaining humble no matter how successful you might achieve on paper. We are coming up to our networking space, but I do want to have a couple of the questions answered in the chat here. So we have two of them. I think both of them are pretty pertinent and be good to go through. First of all, this one is from Aileen Sengupta, another mentee of yours, John.
Yes.
But John and Fernando, what is the best part of your relationship as a mentor and mentee?
I'll let you answer that one first, John.
You know, the best part for me is to see Fernando do something that he hadn't done before. That I had some part in helping him, you know, with confidence, with preparation, and then actually being a part of it and seeing how successful it was. Okay, what we talked about. There's no better feel. I've always said there's no better feeling as a mentor. It's not awards and recognition that I receive anymore. That's been a long time ago. It's helping Fernando be successful himself, and also seeing how happy he is, how confident, much more confident he is, and have much more courage to try new things because of that success. That's the best. It's the greatest feeling in the world. It's like Fernando's another one of my sons, you know, and part of my
For
family,
sure.
and helping my family members do well. Truly, so that's what gives me a good feeling.
And how about yourself, Fernando?
Well, for me, I think it's like, here comes a stranger. His name is John McDonald. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, I literally don't know anything about HKN at that point. And he directed me to his videos, and then I got to read his profile and everything. I was like, oh wow, I'm meeting with an extraordinary guy. So being able to meet him and getting out of my comfort zone kind of opened up a window for me to like network, basically, just because it get me out of my comfort zone talking to a complete stranger, and then being able to see a whole different side and building that personal connection, which helps me be much more vulnerable. Like, for example, I still owe John a pepper and green key lime pie. That's a little inside joke that we have. What's it called? Sadly, I was the recording camera guy versus my group of friends. They actually partaked on that one. But yeah, just seeing our relationship grow, and then having small adventures and seeing each other at conferences, it's really nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And we have two more questions in the chat. I think I'll address one of them for the sake of time so we can get to the networking part. Nikhil, what I mentioned, you have a very individual question. Feel free to seek out John afterwards during the networking session and get some feedback on that. For Patricia, her question is, can one be a mentor and mentee at the same time? Is it in general a good thing? John, what do you think?
Yeah, I think absolutely. And I've always said, no matter how high up you are in an organization, you know, I was a senior executive at GE, but I had a mentor at GE who was a company officer at GE. You know, one of at the time one of the 190 out of hundreds of thousands of employees that ran all of General Electric. Okay, CEO of a big business at GE, and he was my mentor. And at the same time, I was, you know, I was mentoring many young people. So yeah, you can. I think really, I really think, you know, no matter where you are in your career, it's always beneficial to have a mentor. And no matter, you know, and as I said, Joe, with you, no matter how far young you are in your career, you can always mentor others. So, and the best thing about it is, the more you do it, the more you learn, and the better you become. Right? I mean, I would learn things from my mentor, senior executive at GE, that then I could pass on to my mentees.
Oh, for sure.
You know, so I think they help each other.
Very nice. And Fernando, I know one of the aspects you interface with HKN is as a chapter officer, which is being a mentor for future generations of chapter leadership. So what's your perspective on the question?
Funny thing enough, I think I have like 2 or 3 mentees. Well,
I
self-proclaimed
appreciate
mentees.
that. Yep.
They really just came up to me and said, like, "You're my mentor now." I'm like, huh?
Mhm.
I was so super confused. Like I'm not accepting mentees, but if you ever need advice or anything, I'll be happy to help. And ever since like I think my last semester in college, well, I'm still in college, senior year of college, what's it called? They always come up to me, ask me for advice, ask me what classes I
Oh
should
yeah,
take, they should take, and
for
what's it
sure.
called? How were internship experience and what should they do when talking to companies? Small stuff like that. Just like John said, it really can be, you can be a mentor whenever you are. You just need to be a little bit ahead of the mentee and then provide guidance. And then
Mhm.
funny thing enough, most of the stuff that I tell my mentees is the same thing that John is telling me. So it's like a cycle, as you can see. Like, so it's really nice being a mentee and a mentor. And then there's also that one trick that John has been preaching about where we can switch sides where he can be a mentee and I could be a mentor. We haven't tried that out, but what's it called? It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, Joe, we mentioned reverse mentoring, you
Yeah,
know,
definitely.
and I was part of a pilot program at GE where I had a young fellow, Chris, who had just graduated from University of Georgia, had just joined GE in a 2-year rotational leadership program. He became my reverse mentor,
Yeah,
and
well, that's very cool.
that was it was a 3-year program, and we extended it well beyond 3 years because we loved getting together. We were helping each other quite a bit, and I got to know Chris's wife. We ran 5K races together in Atlanta, and so the relationship really grew. But it started as a reverse mentoring where he had just graduated from college, had just joined GE, and all of a sudden now he's mentoring me. So it was a good experience. And Computer World Magazine wrote an article about reverse mentoring and interviewed Chris for the article. So it was really a good experience for him to.
Well, that's fantastic. And hey, maybe that's something you and Fernando can try your next mentoring session. You have to let us know how it goes. But once again, thank you so much both for coming in and sharing your experiences. I know we went a little over on this section, so I just want to point out and start driving people towards the last event, which is our fluid space. Just to progress the slides, first of all, here's our mentee and mentor sign up for the 2026 HKN program as promised. If you didn't catch it last time, feel free to sign up now. As for this next section, and as many of you found out for this first transition, to join our fluid space. This is going to be your opportunity to network with us, the speakers, and everyone else who came to participate. Go to the schedule tag, click on networking time, join the fluid space, drive around your icon, and as you get closer to others, you'll be able to hear them and speak to them. And my go to you is if you stick around for this, which I strongly encourage, aim to make 3 new connections. Could just be us 3 on stage right now. 3 new connections before you click off. So with that, I'll thank all of you for participating and look forward to seeing you momentarily there.